Hello everyone and welcome back to DMG. Today we're taking a look at a laptop. But no extraordinary, weird laptop that no one's ever heard of, nothing wacky, nothing crazy, but instead what I think is a good balance between a practical, affordable laptop that is both repairable and modern. This is the Latitude 3330. I've worked on a few Latitude 3150 laptops, and they're tiny. They're like the 12-inch laptops. They have Celeron and Pentium CPUs, but they still have a RAM slot and a replaceable hard drive and a replaceable battery. So as far as low-end laptops go, I actually really like them. They're on the higher end of low-end laptops, if that makes sense. So I decided to seek out another laptop in the Latitude 3000 series, a slightly higher end 13-inch model that I think is going to be pretty neat. So this is the Latitude 3330, as I've mentioned. And on the bottom, we have a replaceable battery pack that you can just take off. And we've got a panel under which are two RAM slots. It can take an NVMe SSD and a 2.5-inch hard drive. And the CPU in here is a 2nd gen Intel Core chip. So it's a little newer than Core 2 Duo laptops, and therefore it's a little thinner and lighter and has some more modern I/O like USB 3, HDMI, and a faster SD card reader. It also has pretty great battery life. However, it's still old enough to be repairable and old enough to be pretty cheap. You can get a good one of these for about $20 to $40, and that's in good shape. So we're going to take a bit of a closer look at this today and see if I recommend this just for general productivity use, for entertainment, and all of that stuff. Let's get right into it by first looking at the ports. I did mention I/O a bit earlier, and it's quite good. Here we have gigabit LAN, VGA, 2 USB 3, and combo microphone headphone. On the back, we've got Kensington lock and standard Dell charger, and on the left side, we've got HDMI, USB 3, big vent for the fan. The fan only uses about half of this in actuality, and an SD MMC reader. On the front we have our two speakers, some indicator lights, and a nice little notch that allows for you to open the screen. The screen is 1366 by 768, and it has a little webcam above it that, well, it works. It's not the best I've seen. Definitely not the worst, but it's on the side of the worse, I will say. So before we actually get to powering it on, I do want to talk about hardware. Because after all, I did just discuss repairability. Just going to cover up my Windows product keys here. That's always a thing you should do while selling a laptop, by the way. So first of all, this back does have a screw, but it requires some, is wangling a word? I feel like wangling would be a good word to describe what it takes to get this back off. So it does have a screw, but you kind of need to pry it up a little. So here are our two RAM slots. It takes DDR3, supports up to DDR3 1600. It's important to note that this only fits 7mm hard drives. So no slightly thicker ones, and definitely not like a 15mm drive. So there's a set of rubber bumpers here. So you squeeze it down and to the side, and then you have to use a screwdriver to push it forward onto the SATA connector, because the door doesn't actually cover the full size of the hard drive. So it takes, again, a little bit of wangling. Now clearly I'm not booting from a 2.5-inch hard drive. I'm booting from an NVMe. And that is my main complaint with this machine. You see about half of the drive there. So to access the NVMe and the wireless card, you have to disassemble the entire laptop and remove the motherboard just to install a card in this slot. So that takes about 20 extra minutes. I don't know why they couldn't have just made this door maybe 10% taller to accommodate an NVMe drive, since they made that an option. However, once you get the NVMe installed, it all works fine, so I don't have any further complaints there. It still, though, would be very nice if it was done better. As I mentioned earlier, this system has a 2nd gen Core i3. It was available with up to a more powerful i5, but this i3 option I was able to get pretty cheap. This i3-2375M has a base clock of 1.5 gigahertz. It is a 2-core, 4-thread CPU. And in terms of how it stacks up, it's around the range of a 2.2 gigahertz Core 2 Duo, but is more efficient and less hot. In terms of efficiency, normal use gets about 3 to 5 hours out of the battery on this laptop. So that's browsing the internet, that's using web pages, not just having it on with the screen brightness all the way down and Wi-Fi off. So I'm sure you could squeeze more battery out of it if you wanted, but it's already quite satisfactory. Now, of course, something people often do on a laptop is typing. So, time for a little quick keyboard test. As you can hear, or rather not hear, the keyboard's exceptionally quiet. It doesn't make very loud snap sounds, and the bottoming out of the keys still has a tactile bump, even though it's so quiet. They are a little stiff for my liking, so not quite as good as the keyboard on, say, the Latitude E4300, the previous generation of like 13-inch Latitude. So they aren't better, but if you're used to modern laptops, this is definitely better than the keyboard on most new laptops that has absolutely no tactile feedback at all. So I do like this little keyboard. My only complaint is the screen seems to wobble while you're typing, especially when it's at an angle like this or on your lap. So that is a small complaint. If you find that distracting, this may not be the laptop for you. So your maximum volume, that was the maximum volume, by the way, it's barely audible, and you can really only hear things above like 800 hertz. You get no treble, no bass, like nothing in the mid-range or low end. It's just all like cymbals that you hear if you're listening to music. So these definitely are not particularly good speakers. So if that's all you're looking for on a 13-inch laptop, I would recommend one of the HP Pavilions, because those are some pretty solid entertainment-oriented 13-inch laptops. I always use Unreal Tournament 2004 as a test game, and I always run it at the native resolution of the laptop panel. In this case, that's 1366 by 768, and as a reminder, we have no discrete graphics in this laptop. It's all handled by the internal Intel GPU. Now clearly it runs okay. This is more than enough for the game to be playable. And this is the maximum settings, as I always test this game at. So it's running pretty well. We are seeing occasional stutters, frame drops, etc., but mainly just when a lot of stuff is happening on screen. However, this is a more basic map. So if we go to, let's say, just the classic GPU melter ice tomb, well, things don't look so good. Immediately we have quite a bit of lag. So I think you can see it's not quite running the smoothest. I would not call this unplayable by any means, and if I were you, I would turn down the graphics settings from the maximum, but so that there's a consistent benchmark result between all the laptops, I of course always set it to the native resolution of the display and the maximum resolution and the maximum graphics quality of the game. So it's mainly input lag that's the issue here. It's decent. It's all right for integrated graphics on an older laptop, but it's definitely not one you would want to buy strictly for gaming. Again, I've covered a lot of laptops with NVIDIA GPUs on this channel in the past. CPU performance, however, is definitely what more people care about. As I mentioned earlier, it's about as fast as a 2.2 gigahertz Core 2 Duo, which does unfortunately set it behind the highest end Latitude E4300. However, this performance is higher than you get from a Chromebook or etc. for $30, and the battery life of this machine is definitely fantastic. As I mentioned earlier, 3 to 5 hours typically of just normal usage. So I think that the repairability, performance, upgrade potential, and battery life make this pretty much one of the best laptops you could get for around $30. I would definitely say if you're looking for a laptop for school or that sort of thing, or just a basic laptop to do some work on, well, this should absolutely be a consideration of yours. Again, these are available with i5 CPUs, so if you do like this laptop but want maybe a slightly higher performance model, I would absolutely recommend getting the i5. Of course, that will yield slightly lower battery life, but if, again, performance is what you desire more, that would of course be worth it for you. So in conclusion, the Latitude 3330 is absolutely worth considering if you're looking for a smaller, thinner, lightweight, but still upgradable laptop that will last you a good long time. The chassis is pretty sturdy, and it feels like it can take a few bumps because it's all actual aluminum except for the palm rest area. And I'm gonna throw out the cursed word again here, but compared to Chromebooks, for school purposes, this is definitely one of the better laptops you could get in that price range. There are definitely better laptops overall that one could get for around $30, but those are thicker and heavier and usually have larger screen sizes. So if you're looking for a smaller, lighter 13-inch, I absolutely recommend this. So if this video helped you, but that's where I'm gonna wrap this video up. Bit of a quick one, but there's not much to say about this wonderfully simple little laptop. So if this video helped you, or you found it interesting, leave a like, subscribe, and hope you come back and watch another. But that's it for this one, so thank you everyone for watching, and I hope to see you next time.